Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the return of Mutant Monday. And as promised, we are bringing back Mutant Monday, if for no other reason than just to talk about the first issue of the new Wolverine ongoing, which was released this past week. This being the die-cut variant. So, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so, in what's been going on in Dawn of X, even though he was on the cover of the first issue of X-Men, Wolverine has not really been in too many issues of X-Men. Largely, he's been appearing in X-Force. So, which is all written by Benjamin Percy, who's also writing Wolverine. So we're actually going to be seeing a lot of crossover between the two books, a lot of cross between the two books. So, anyway, so the issue kind of starts with the present, and then we go back up to, I want to say, 4 days previously. 5 days previously. And it follows, there are two stories. Within this first story, there are two tales that are being followed and that intertwine. So for Logan, we begin in Alaska. He has been seriously fucked up. I mean, we're talking like he's stitching himself back together, but massive portions of his skeleton are visible as the issue begins. Though, soon enough, he at least regrows his flesh, but not before noting the fact that he killed his teammates. Domino, Quentin Quire, and Jean Grey. And he knows he's the one that did it. But he notes there are some footsteps leading away. And well, by God, Logan's going to find out who it is that turned him on his friends. So now I mentioned that it flashes back to up to 5 days previously. So, this is the beginning of that. Logan's playing hide and seek with some of the mutant kids. And, well, he's really good at hiding. However, Jean gives them some help and pulls him out of his hiding place. But apparently, he's needed at Hellfire Bay because, well, Kate has the whiskey for him. And they talk a bit. It's honestly a really nice scene between the two of them, and it's a scene I think we've been needing since House of X, began. In fact, to be perfectly honest, having a scene between Wolverine and Shadowcat is something that I think we've needed since Wolverine came back from being dead. Which sadly coincided with Age of X-Men, and well, yeah. But it turns out she has an ulterior motive. Some of the flower shipments from Krakoa aren't getting to where they need to be. Apparently it started off small. As it says in the issue, a few pounds here or there, then a quarter of a shipment. Then an entire shipment. So, where are the pedals going? So we cut to Baltimore, where we meet CIA agent Bannister, who's coordinating with the FBI at what looks to be a retaliatory attack on a drug lab. However, Bannister makes a very interesting point. A drug lab normally smells or makes him feel like he's stuck on the tailpipe of a bus burning hot garbage for fuel. This, however, smells like gardens and grandmas, floral, as they are working on a new street drug called pollen. There's a full write-up. It offers a euphoric high. CIA agent Jeff Bannister is investigating it, though the cartel is producing it, the Flower Cartel. He's basically getting a blank check on. You know? An example given in the write-up is that when he proposed a covert operation with a team posing as members of the narcotics trade looking to do business with the Flower Cartel, he actually didn't get a whole lot of flack from his superiors saying, okay, well, fill out these forms in triplicate and we'll have to debate this. And yeah, well, you want this much of a budget. We can only give you this much of a budget, though. Instead, it was like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like, oh, you want to, make contact with the Flower Cartel and, posing as buyers? What? As drug buyers? Yeah, okay, go ahead. That's fine. And it's like, just let us know what you need. So, that's a bit strange for him. Now we fast forward to now we're 4 days ago in Krakoa. Logan has brought the information about the missing shipments to Sage. Sage has basically taken the information and is doing some collating. And it looks like some of them there's some just outside of Moscow. Now, as has been established especially in in Marauders, the gates in Russia pretty much have tank brigades around them. So, Gateway operates as their secondary means of transport. Getting the team, Gene, Domino, Quentin, Logan, to Russia. Then we cut to Baltimore. We learn more about what's going on with Agent Bannister. He's got a daughter who has leukemia, and she's actually on the waiting list for Krakoan drugs, but it looks like because of in part due to the Flower Cartel's trade with the petals of with pollen in general. It's kind of made the legal trade of Krakoan drugs. It's put a strain on the legal trade of it. One does have to wonder if the Flower Cartel has any links to a certain Black King. Not, well, of the Hellfire Club. Sebastian Shaw. So, turns out that the location, that the Russian location that Sage pinpointed for the flowers is actually a meeting place of the Order of X. Or, well, a portion of the Order of X. The Order of X being a group of mutant worshipping fanatics. Most of them are content to just, do the usual cult things. Oh, praise be the mutants. There have been various tales They tend to gather around Krakoan gates. Yeah. Some, however, have developed a belief that they can become something more by consuming mutants. Yeah, eating them. And it turns out that the Order of X group in Russia, they are on that. They're in that camp. So X Force shows up, and a bunch of the cult members take some pollen. Just as Quentin is basically offering himself up to them, saying, hey, yeah, I'm your god. Worship away, y'all. And when they decide they're going to, well, consume him, well, yeah. However, it turned out that the pollen, or at least this strain of it, has negative side effects and kills the Order, the members of the Order. So, a few days later, Logan does some investigating on his own and also brings at least a severed head from the Order of X and goes to talk to a Russian mobster who tells him about the Flower Cartel and the Pale Girl. And finally, the fact that, adding that when they tried to renegotiate their deal, the Pale Girl made him pull out his lighter, light it, and stick it in his eye. And so then, earlier from earlier the day from when the issue began, we've got two debriefings taking place. One at the point on Krakoa between Beast and Wolverine about the upcoming mission. And the other at CIA headquarters with Bannister and his superiors. And so now we got cut back to Logan tracking whoever this person is, and then he briefly sees the Pale Girl in the snow, pops his claws and gets ready, and after she disappears, Logan runs right into Bannister and his men. And that is where that story ends. Next up, we've actually got two stories in this issue. One being Catacombs. Part of it is Logan reflecting on the island, how it's constantly changing, how, at the same time he's having to get used to, hanging out with people with mutants that have tried on multiple occasions to kill him. And one such mutant then stumbles through a gate covered in blood. Omega Red, who was briefly glimpsed in a panel in House of X, viewing the announcement about Krakoa, but not actually arriving on the island. And this is Wolverine's book. We're supposed to love Wolverine in it, but and I get it. Yeah, he doesn't trust Omega Red. Omega Red does not have the nicest history. I mean, you can at least swear a lot of Logan's history with the fact that he has changed. Omega Red hasn't. Not to mention, there's the whole death sport thing. Yeah. So, Magneto suggests Logan investigate, find out why Omega Red's covered in blood. And so he comes out of the gate in Paris. And turns out there's a sports car wrecked right in front of it, covered in blood, with bodies in the trunk. He reports his findings to Cecilia Reyes and Magneto, and goes to talk to Omega Red, who is currently being held prisoner. After Magneto basically tells him that right now his job is to find out what it is Omega Red has done and clean it up. So they talk a bit, and Logan further investigates, this time going to the Latin Quarter in Paris, the King's Omelette. Going to a club, he, while nosing around for any kind of clues, he is offered some flowers by a young girl outside. He goes into the club, however, has some absinthe. Apparently, absinthe isn't really his thing. But the absinthe has been drugged, and he awakens. And Logan comes to tied to a roof, surrounded by vampires. Because, well, of course, the bar he went into was a vampire bar. The plan being that they're going to stick a spigot in him and just start drinking. Well, that's not something Logan's all for. So he gets loose, and it turns out that the flower seller from outside is actually a vampire hunter. Also, it turns out that the bodies in the trunk of the car that Omega Red had been in were vampires. And while going back to talk with Omega Red, Logan is told part of the story of St. Julian. So he goes back to Logan goes back to Paris. In fact, to St. Julien La Pauvre, where he meets the girl. Or he meets up with the vampire hunter from earlier. Learns her name is Louise, and she's a member of the Night Guard. Some references are made to the events of the recent Vampire War arc in Avengers, though the conclusion is practically ignored, as the conclusion saw basically Dracula establishing a new vampire nation in Chernobyl. So Louise and Logan go into the catacombs, where they of course find more vampires. The vampires, however, take Louise hostage and basically kind of a, hey, you guys leave, and that's that. Or well, basically, hey, we'll let her go, but you have to give us what we want, which is a taste of you. So the vampires attack Logan. The leader of the group is killed, And Logan figures, hey, well, no problem. We killed their leader. But Louise explains that that wasn't their leader. Vampires have united. Under Dracula. We also just learned that Omega Red has been freed from imprisonment on Krakoa. And the vampire's given the carbonadium synthesizer. Well, Dracula himself does this. Because he is to be their eyes and ears on Krakoa. Also, there's a explosive has been placed inside the synthesizer so that should Dracula deem it necessary, they'll use it more to at least destroy the synthesizer and I would think possibly also kill Omega Red. There's also a write-up on blood and the similarities between Wolverine's blood and vampire blood, and the differences between normal blood and yeah. It's actually very interesting. But that is where the issue ends. So, admittedly, it's not what I've been hoping for with for a Wolverine solo book yet. It's just started though, so I'm willing to I want to see Wolverine and his interacting with his kids. Especially now that they're basically all on the same side and all living on Krakoa. I want to see him and Dakin bury the hatchet. Not at each other. I want to see him meet Honey Badger. I want to see more of him and Laura if she ever returns from the vault. And hopefully we'll get some of that. Apparently we're getting some ties to the Iron Man 2020 mini event. But yeah, I'm liking the idea that X-Force and Wolverine are going to have some bleed over. I think in a few months we're actually going to be seeing X-Force, touting a fight between Colossus and Omega Red. So also, it's nice that the two books that Wolverine is appearing to be apparently appearing in most prominently are being written by the same writer. So yeah, you're not going to have. I think you're going to have a lot of continuity between the two. There's also already been a great amount of continuity with all the Dawn of X titles so far. So that's also a good thing. Anyway. That's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.